Release our director. We want our freedom.
Yeah, this is coming from Enugu State. Yeah, and according to the news, which you will still listen to, that Enugu youths came out in their numbers protesting in Enugu for the release of Mazi and Kanu and for the total freedom of Nnamdi, Biafrans from Nigeria. So I want you to listen to this video. I don't want to say much, please.
As we told you, in Enugu State, the protesters gathered themselves again on major streets, chanting the same songs and calling for the release of their leaders allegedly detained by the Department of State Security, the DSS. The youths, mostly between the ages of 10 and 36, say they are prepared to be on their own. Our correspondent Charles Seruka reports.
The normally placid streets of Enugu burst into intense activity for probably the wrong reasons.
Release our director. We want our freedom.
A small crowd of youths flying what they call the Biafran flag line the streets to lend their voice to the latest agitations for a separate entity and in defiance to police warnings.
The armies and SACs and police came in that summit road. They shot tear gas at us, but we didn't run. They shot tear gas again and we didn't run. But when they look at it that we are gallant, that we are not afraid, they begin to shoot at us.
So, and what we want to tell the Nigerian government is to release our leader. Because if they don't release our leader, we are telling you by the time we are going to do another mega protest. This one, you will know that this one is just a child's play.
In response to the protesters' allegation that some of them were shot by security operatives, the Enugu State Police Command insists that the demonstrations have so far been peaceful and there's been no violence anywhere.
All of a sudden, someone is seen, coming up, and in their large numbers. So in that case, what we will try to do is to manage the situation so that it does not degenerate into uncontrollable situation, because you might even try to, whatever thing you do might even meet resistance, and in that case, you'll begin to talk about genocide, and we don't want to identify with that. So we just carefully try to manage the situation and watch out for what we are looking for.
It's most unlikely that any of the protesters experienced the events of the original Biafra, but their agitation for the resurrection of a best-forgotten point in history has to be handled delicately but firmly before it gets out of hand. Charles Eruka for Channels Television News.
And to look further into the agitation of the Biafra youths, let's now join Linda Higbe from our Abuja studio. Over to you now, Linda.
Hello and welcome to Abuja. The Nigeria police says it is not finding the actions of the protesters calling for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra funny, as clearly the actions question the unity and sovereign entity of Nigeria. Therefore, under the law, their actions are treasonable. The police warn that there is need for caution in making their unconstitutional demands. Now, joining me on the news at 10 is the Deputy Inspector General of Police for Operations, Mr. Sotonye Wakama. Mr. Wakama, you're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you just watched the last report. What do you think of the seeming intransigence of the pro-Biafra protesters?
Well, let's start by getting something right. This is a democracy. Any person, any group of persons can protest or agitate for whatever it is they want, with the caveat that they do so within the law. The problem that we're having with this particular protest is that some actions of the protesters are not within the law. Some of them are carrying cudgels, they're acting in a riotous manner, they're blocking highways, carrying a Biafran flag and things like that. And these things are threatening to other persons. So if they behave in a calm, reasonable and rational manner, nobody will protest about it. We won't have any issue about it. But as it is, they are breaking the law.
But back to the reason for the protest, the police, you're saying that it's treasonable. Now, do you think the people are aware of this?
Well, first of all, whether it is treasonable or not, we'll leave that to the courts to decide. Okay. It's not for us to rule one way or the other. But if they don't know what they're doing, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So.
Now, the Inspector General of Police on Friday issued a warning on this ongoing mass protest, but clearly it is being defied by the protesters. So what do we expect next from the police?
Well, as you have said, a warning has been given, and everybody knows about that warning, has heard of it. We have so far tried to manage this matter such that it doesn't cause too much inconvenience, let's put it that way, to people. But if it continues, and if it continues outside the ambits of the law, then the police will take the necessary action that the law dictates.
By necessary action, what do we mean?
You will arrest and prosecute people.
Okay, now, one of the demands of these young men is that their leaders are being held in by security operatives. Do you have any of their leaders in your custody?
Not to my knowledge, but we are aware that I think one of the leaders, Kanu, has been apprehended, maybe by one of the other security services.
Not the Nigeria Police Force?
No.
Now, what if they refuse to heed to the warnings of the Inspector General? What are your options?
Well, our options are dictated by law. It's very simple. If you are breaking the law, then it's the duty of law enforcement, not just the police, other law enforcement agencies too, to apprehend those who are breaking the law